Let's do it. It's time to talk Colorado Buffaloes recruiting. And Coach Prime was on the trail. They finished number 32, but that doesn't tell the whole story because some of these guys, despite a number 32 ranked class, these guys are going to be on the field as true freshmen. Why do you think the Coach Prime can find so much success with not only highly rated guys like a Julian Lewis, but it doesn't matter if you're recruited from the high school level, whatever your ranking is, you're expected to come in and play.
Yeah, I think when he took over Colorado, just the situation that it was, it's been well documented, one win before he got there. And then this past year where they go win 9 football games and have a chance to go control their destiny for the Big 12 in the month of November. So what's interesting about this class to me, Josh, is they're up 30 spots from the year before, and they're second in the Big 12 right now. Yeah. And if you win your conference, you punch your ticket to the college football playoff as the format stands right now. So talking about Colorado going forward, like landing a Julian Lewis, your quarterback of the future, is massive. And I do think we talk so much about the brand that Deion Sanders is. That matters in modern college football when it comes to recruiting. You want to go play for a guy that's been there and done that, and in himself is going to help you get exposure at the highest level, and your games are going to matter.
Yeah. And they had some big wins on the trail. Don't get me wrong. There is no doubt about it. Just because they didn't sign a huge class in terms of numbers, they still had some really great signees in this class. And we got to start with Julian Lewis. I don't know whether to go to Chad or Steve on this, but I'm going to go to Chad because Juju Lewis played at Carrollton, Georgia. Chad's home base is in Georgia. He's seen him develop from an 8th grader. Chad, what makes Julian Lewis so special?
I just think football IQ, man. He's smart. I think he was groomed for this. He was kind of made for this. I mean, he had a lot of hype coming out of like 7th grade, 8th grade, a lot like what I heard with Trevor Lawrence coming out of Ackworth. Julian was coming out of the Atlanta area and goes over to Carrollton. And I heard the same stuff about Julian in that 7th, 8th grade from the same kind of people in this area that I did about Trevor Lawrence at that same stage in his life. So I think he was groomed to have the spotlight on him. He was groomed to play quarterback. He knows what the position is about. He knows what responsibility the quarterback has from a leadership standpoint to putting the team on the back when it's needed to making plays. And not only did he have the skill set and the talent, but he played at one of the best high school programs in the state for one of the best high school coaches, I feel like, in the country, in Joey Keane, to be prepared for college, to be prepared to reclassify and basically skip your junior season of high school and go play college ball a year early. To me, what makes Julian good is the intangibles. Yes, he can throw the ball. Yes, he has good accuracy. Yes, he can read his progressions, but the little things off the field, the homework, the film room, the putting in the extra time, to me, that's what can kind of make him successful at the University of Colorado.
Yeah, Steve, I kind of stole your line there because every time you were on the Inside Scoop or the Wilt Fong Whip Around and we talked Colorado, you would mention that these guys are expected to play as freshmen. So when we look at the elite skill talent that Coach Sanders is bringing in, who do you think we're going to see on the field making plays for the Buffs next season?
Well, receiver was obviously a point of emphasis for Coach Sanders and his staff this cycle. And one name that I always made sure we included when we were talking about Julian Lewis and Carde Smith and London Merritt and Nathaniel Usu-Boateng, guys that were ranked high that Colorado was recruiting. He wasn't ranked high at the time, but he was high on Colorado's board and ultimately finished in the on 300 with a fantastic senior season and great showing at the Under Armour game is Quentin Gibson. He is lightning in a bottle. He is a touchdown waiting to happen out of North Crowley, Texas, the Max Preps National High School Football Player of the Year. He had over 2,000 yards receiving and 36 touchdowns, playing against some of the best high school competition in the country. Then he went down to the Under Armour game, and in practice when I was there, he was an impossible cover, creates easy separation, an uber confident guy. Colorado, Oklahoma State, TCU, SMU, some of the programs that just have exciting offenses. You don't really follow their recruitment, and then you turn on Saturdays and you see them just scoring a lot of points because they landed guys like Quentin Gibson. Colorado loved him. He was a top of the board guy. To get him to go with the more well-known guys like Adrian Wilson and Quanell Farrakhan, who had great senior years themselves. These guys are all around 20 yards a catch or more. Colorado, you lose a Travis Hunter, you lose some of those dynamic guys. They were one of the most efficient passing offenses in the country this past year because of Shedeur Sanders, but also because of the guys they had on the perimeter. These guys meet that standard, those expectations. They flipped Adrian Wilson from Arizona State. Quanell Farrakhan was a guy that they coveted. And then to go out and get Quentin Gibson at the end, he is going to be an instant difference maker in the Big 12.
Yeah, and flipping Carday Smith also from USC. JD, Colorado started 2 freshmen on their offensive line, played great. They're going to be sophomore next year. I very much think Carday Smith could come in and start as a freshman. You're starting to see, though, they're developing, right? It's not all about coming in and you got freshmen at every position now. What do you think of the move? Because we just talked about, you're going to pencil in Bryce Underwood as Michigan's quarterback, but what do you think about the move to bring in Caden Salter to kind of bridge the transition from Shedeur to Juju?
Yeah, I like it. I think it makes a ton of sense. And I'm maybe in the minority here because you see a high-profile quarterback get signed and you're excited about what he can be. And it's like, hey, could he help us next year? And Julian Lewis absolutely could do that. Yeah. My standard take on that typically with a talented kid and when you have someone experienced like a Caden Salter in the building is like, hey, let's let our freshman quarterback like sit a year and figure out college, let alone college football. And I think there is such a thing, quite frankly, as playing too early and getting your confidence bruised and developing bad habits and all those things. So I'm not saying that would happen with Julian Lewis, but ultimately I love the idea of bringing in a guy like a Caden Salter, and I think having just some insurance at the quarterback position to tell Julian Lewis, hey, if you win the job, awesome, but if you don't, it's not all on you this year. Have a chance to grow, a chance to figure it out. I love it.
Steve.
Well, you look at the NFL draft year in and year out, a lot of the quarterbacks that get drafted in the first round weren't asked to play as a true freshman. And then you look at like a situation where Dante Moore was committed to Oregon for a long time, flips to UCLA at the buzzer, ends up transferring to Oregon. I think if you ask people around the Oregon building, hey, it would have been great for Dante Moore to watch a Bo Nix prepare, see what it takes to play that position at a high level. And I know Bo Nix is a unique preparer for the football game with just his intangibles and skill set. But for Julian Lewis to get in there and watch how Caden Salter prepares himself. Caden Salter is someone that had been humbled by the sport, but then picked himself up off the mat, goes to Liberty, takes Liberty to a New Year's Six Bowl and wins. Now coming to Colorado, a guy that's been through the grind of college football, it gives Julian Lewis an opportunity to come in and learn how to prepare for college football and do the little things off the field. And that doesn't mean that Julian Lewis doesn't have those traits as Chad talked about. He's someone that on the biggest stage of high school football came in with the microscope and no moment was too big for him. I think if you're Deion Sanders and company, you're always going to bring a veteran in through the transfer portal, no matter what quarterback you landed in the cycle, to help transition from Shedeur to the next guy, and that is Julian Lewis.
All right, Colorado fans, who do you think out of this group is the next star freshman at Colorado? Let us know in the comment section below.